Welcome back to Plague Scythe Studios, everyone. Ryan here, finally with an update regarding my custom shop 8-string that's been kind of going on for the past 6 months or so. Haven't had an update video in quite some time because all of that pre-planning stuff makes pretty decent content, and it happened fairly quickly between video 1 and video 2. Whereas the actual nitty-gritty R&D work and the trial and error and all the engineering to get it to the point it is now not only takes a long time, but it can kind of be summarized in 10 seconds. So it takes a while to build up to a point I think it's worth talking about and not make a 2-minute update video. So this will be one of the last, if not the last, videos recorded from this location, and all the better, because I was hoping that I'd either get the guitar very soon or like another month or so from now, because the last thing I wanted was to get it shipped to the wrong address. So I don't have to worry about that too much. By the time this video goes up, we will either be on the home stretch, like we're ready to paint and final assembly, or the guitar will be like pretty much ready to ship. That's the plan. As of recording this, though, we're a couple steps away from that, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's getting pretty exciting. So obviously, for those, if you've not kept up or new to the channel in the past 6 months, then yeah, I've been having a custom shop 8-string built. The first couple of videos kind of go over the basic design and the hardware choices and all that good stuff. Now, my builder Onofre has had his work cut out for him, and this is what custom shop should look like. Not oh, we're going to take a Les Paul and make it by one guy and it's going to cost $6,000 because we said so. This is custom shop work. This is R&D happening in real time. This is making something that's never been done before happen. This is what I wanted from the beginning, so I'm very happy about that. And you know, we've ran into some setbacks, both in terms of design work and in terms of the weather. So the Philippines has been hit by a super typhoon, I think twice now, which is awful. Fortunately, nothing was terribly damaged in his shop, but it did set him back a couple weeks for having to clear stuff out of storage to make sure that it wouldn't get flooded, and just having to close down the shop in general. Then there's a couple weeks he was so busy that he couldn't touch my build at all, to the point where 1 week he shut down the shop completely to do nothing but work on my guitar. So that's a good thing for him that he's keeping business that well. But you know, I've got an engineering background. Delays are like my bread and butter. When you write a project, you can pretty much multiply it by time and a half. That's more than likely how long it's going to take for whatever time frame that you set it out for, because shit never works that way. But neither of us are going to sacrifice quality just to ship out a guitar a couple weeks earlier. I've lived this long without it. I think I'll survive a few more weeks without it as well. So the first design that I showed in video 2 is still what we're going with, the Stag King, Longhorn, whatever code name we're going to call it. I actually have a couple more ideas for names. If I can figure out how to put a poll in this video, I might do it here. I'm thinking Super Typhoon might be a really cool name as well. I know there is a Typhoon guitar company. I think there's a Hurricane guitar company as well, but it's lived through some inclement weather. I feel like it deserves to be named after it. So see what you think, but tell me, you know, go through the poll, see what your favorite name is. But on paper, it looks really nice. Basically, Onofre kind of sketched over the hand sketch I provided. And what he found when starting to actually, you know, put some pencil to real wood is that the overall body shape was just too skinny. It looked a little funny once we cut it out, and he made the right call to thicken the overall contours. That way it wasn't so scooped. This made the initial prototype body way more proportional than my first sketches were, and seeing this in a 3D representation for the first time was mind-blowing. It looked so much better than I ever could have imagined, especially once it was thickened up a little bit. And it still retains all of the original feature sets I wanted, including the contouring, the top horn reaching the 12th fret to prevent neck diving, all that good stuff. But once we started positioning hardware and electronics, he also found more errors or stuff that would be harder to work with. For instance, the bottom contour had to be modified to make way for proper tune-o-matic bridge spacing to get good string tension, and stuff like this that I didn't even think about, especially in a vertical plain, because you draw all this stuff out in 2D. It's like, oh well, it works on that guitar, we're just going to copy and paste to this application. It doesn't always work out that way. Not only did he find, oh, this body isn't actually long enough to get enough string tension there, which to me it's like, well, it's at the right pitch, good enough. But there were several instances where he stepped in and said, well, you should think about this, because yeah, it'll work, but it won't be as robust, or the stability won't be there. And even if we have to take another few days to, get this solved, then let's do it. And I agree, and that's something that is invaluable to me. I have a strong feeling that it's this kind of stuff that makes certain custom shops act the way they do. They're not really custom shops, in my opinion. And even if I did hand a design like this to a lot of builders, I have a feeling they'd be like, well, I hope he did the math, because I'm basically going to copy it and not give their input as much. And for me, you can't put a price tag on that kind of support, that kind of attention to the small details, because this is ultimately being built by someone who loves playing guitar for someone that loves playing guitar. So it's nice to know that they've got that investment in it of, well, I wouldn't do this to myself. I'm not going to charge a customer to give them something second rate. Another great example of just that, he just finished my neck, a beautiful 5-piece laminate. The headstock was all cut out. The lacewood fretboard was glued down, like best looking fretboard I've ever seen. It is so cool, 3D and textured. And he used carbon fiber reinforcement, which was going to be, more than enough. It will work, but he's kind of had a second thought about it and said, you know what, I can get some titanium in. I want to do it again. And I told him, like, dude, I think you're crazy. I think it'll be fine. He was like, yeah, it will be, but I want to go balls to the walls on this build. So we are. I'm going to have freaking titanium in the neck. So, it's that kind of stuff that I don't care if it takes another week. If we're going to make this thing a tank, let's do it. All of the body materials have been cut and sanded to size as well. We're sticking with the same construction technique, ash on the back, buckeye maple on top, although a couple other findings led to some slight changes in terms of the topography of the guitar, as well as some of the general construction. So first things first, to achieve proper string tension and overall feel, the neck is actually going to be slightly angled compared to the body. This is something you'd see on like a Gibson SG or Les Paul, and it's actually kind of preferable the more I thought about it, because I have no problem with completely flat backed guitars, but it's just one of those things that kind of both tricks my mind into thinking the guitar is shorter than it is, and it's more comfortable on my wrist. That's why I find the SG in particular maybe one of the most comfortable guitars in the world, because it's thin, and you can, if you hold the neck here, the body is actually just slightly off center, and it's just a super comfortable feel. So we're going to do the same thing, which makes the strings ever so slightly off plane compared to the body. Not a big deal. It's not going to look weird. And that will really help the two-pneumatic bridge get the proper angle on the tailpiece. The second significant design change actually spawned when discussing the finish of the guitar, and obviously we're using a lot of woods with just super cool grain structures, and it'd be a crying shame to go through all this work and then cover it up. So paint was out of the question on basically all of this. Still want to be able to retain the flamed ash on the back. Want to still be able to see the 5-piece construction on the neck. And the front, I knew I wanted to keep the buckeye maple pattern visible, but how much was really the question. A lot of really nice looking guitars out there kind of do a burst around the edges. Hell, Solar Guitars has one that kind of has the burl maple finish and, kind of a black burst, and then it fades to natural or some stained color. And that's what I was initially thinking about. Then Onofre hits me up with this really cool contour design, and this will let the maple top be practically untouched, except for perhaps some very subtle black bursting around the edges just to make stuff blend in a little bit better. But everything else you see in black will be carved into relief, so you'll get this really cool 3D effect, and it'll expose some of the different layers used in the underside. And it's a really modern, kind of aggressive, but kind of subtle at the same time carve, and I wouldn't have any problem playing metal or jazz on this thing. It's very flexible in terms of aesthetics, which I like. I don't want something that's like, oh, brutal metal, zigzags and looks like a serrated saw or something like that, but I also don't want it to be, effeminate or anything like that. So I'm very happy with this change. It really makes it pop. When I was first sketching, it was just like, yeah, I know I'd like a hand carve there, and this would look kind of cool and make it symmetrical, but this puts it on a whole new level. I can't wait to actually feel it in person. It'd definitely be a work of art. The back, similarly, you'll get the belly cut as well as the neck joint will expose a lot of the different layers of wood as well. And the best part about this whole process to me is, well, besides when I get the finished product in my lap, obviously, the best part for me is that once it's all said and done, you know, the hard part's over. He's got all the templates, he'll have all the dimensions, all of the hard R&D stuff is over, and then we can reapply this design in a lot of ways. It would be fairly trivial to turn it into a fan fret. Something like a bolt-on neck would be, again, not too hard of a change. Different bridge configurations, different pickup configurations. I've already expressed interest in a fan fret design later down the road. I gotta pay this one off first, but you know, I would look forward to something that can do open tuning and open B flat plus a low F, because you're just not gonna be able to do that on a 28-inch scale guitar. You can on 25.5-inch scale, but then the bottom sounds like garbage. So that would remedy that. And I really hope that this is far from the last time that I see this design come to life. I really hope that other people out there in the wild will be able to experience something similar, and I hope it solves the same problems for other people that it's going to solve for me. So next video, it'll probably be a month or so, who knows, but the guitar will be finished in my hands here, maybe not here, obviously not here, I'll be somewhere else, but with me, and there'll be plenty of tone tests, plenty of playthroughs, covers, all that good stuff. I'll get my money out of it, I can guarantee you that. So until then, hope you can hold out. I'll be biting at the bit, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.